In the heart of southern Africa, a storm is brewing. Not a natural one, but a political and economic tempest ignited by a single spark: a fuel hike. Luanda, the capital of Angola, is on fire, literally and figuratively. The streets, once bustling with commuters, are now battlegrounds. Barricades are burning. Protesters clash violently with police. The air smells of tear gas and frustration. And it all started with a 100 kwanza increase in the price of gasoline. What may seem like a small price change has exposed deeper cracks in Angola's fragile economy, inequality, and the government's relationship with its people. But what's really behind these protests? Why are taxi drivers leading a nationwide rebellion? And how did a peaceful strike morph into a 3-week-long crisis? This is not just a story about fuel. This is a story about a people tired of being ignored. Welcome to Angola's breaking point. On paper, Angola's recent policy was simple: raise the price of subsidized gasoline from 300 to 400 kwanzas per liter, just an extra $0.10. To the government, it was a necessary economic move, meant to reduce subsidy pressure and align domestic prices with the global oil market. But to the average Angolan, it was betrayal. Angola is one of Africa's top oil producers. Yet paradoxically, its citizens struggle to afford the very oil their land produces. Taxi drivers, who depend daily on fuel to earn a living, were hit the hardest. A 33% increase in fuel prices meant reduced income, increased transport fares, and greater hardship for millions. And so, it began. First with a strike, then with demonstrations, and then with chaos. What began as peaceful protests quickly spiraled into violence. Taxi drivers parked their cars in defiance. Crowds gathered, chanting anti-government slogans. "Down with Joao Lourenco" echoed through the streets. Anger mounted as police moved in. Protesters threw stones, police fired tear gas, fires were lit, barricades erected, public buses were attacked, government property was destroyed, even private cars weren't spared. For 3 weekends in a row, Luanda, the nation's beating heart, was paralyzed. The provincial government was quick to condemn the violence, calling for calm and reporting damages to both public and private infrastructure. But condemnation wasn't enough. The people didn't just want words. They wanted justice. They wanted relief. They wanted a government that listens. To understand the protests, you must understand Angola's political history. The MPLA party, Movimento Popular de Libertação de Angola, has ruled the country since independence in 1975. That's 50 years of one-party dominance. While President Joao Lourenco has introduced reforms and launched anti-corruption campaigns, many Angolans feel these changes only scratch the surface. Corruption remains. Inflation is rising. Jobs are scarce, and inequality staggering. The youth, who make up the majority, are increasingly disillusioned. They feel locked out of their own future. The fuel hike was just the trigger. The real explosion came from years of built-up frustration. Now the MPLA finds itself walking a tightrope: clamp down too hard and risk global backlash. Do too little, and the protests might spread nationwide. Why does a small increase in fuel price lead to national chaos? Because fuel is the backbone of daily life. In Angola, where the minimum wage barely covers essentials, any price hike ripples through the economy. Food becomes more expensive. Transport costs rise. Schools and clinics become less accessible. For a struggling mother in Huambo or a street vendor in Luanda, that 100 kwanza difference could mean skipping a meal. The protests have laid bare a truth many governments ignore. Economic pain is not always visible in GDP charts or oil revenues. It is felt in empty stomachs, long commutes, and children who sleep without dinner. Angola is not alone. Across Africa, fuel protests are rising, from Nigeria's subsidy removal to Ghana's inflation hikes and Kenya's tax demonstrations. These are not isolated incidents. They are signs of a broader crisis. A crisis of governance, a crisis of trust, a crisis of inequality. Angola's youth are watching how other African nations fight for their rights, and they are inspired. The digital age has empowered a new wave of activism. What happens in Luanda today can inspire protest in Kinshasa, Lagos, or Nairobi tomorrow. Governments must act, not with repression, but with reform. The time of ignoring the people is over. Angola stands at a crossroads. The people have spoken, in chants, in strikes, in flames. They are tired. They are angry. They want more than speeches. Will the government listen? Will President Lourenco and the MPLA admit that this isn't just about fuel, but about dignity? If not, Angola risks more than protests. It risks a generational divide, a broken trust that could take decades to repair. But if they listen, truly listen, this could be the beginning of something new. A country rebuilt on fairness, equity, and justice for all. Until then, the streets of Luanda will keep reminding us that silence is no longer an option. Like, comment, and subscribe for more.